welcome to our third podcast show. We are thrilled to be here. We have some great fan art and some great fan fictions, and we have an awesome interview with Youkaiyume later on. But first things first, we are thrilled to introduce to you our fourth member, Ms. Carole Lee, also known as Guardian It's 105 on DeviantArt.
Yay!
If you
see anything that says Guardian 105, or Guardian R105, that's me. Pleasure to be on the crew. I hope I live up to all your expectations.
You still do.
You definitely
are.
definitely have, and I feel that going forward it will be nothing less.
Aw, shucks.
In addition to our exciting news with our fourth member, there has been some very exciting news within the Gargoyles fanverse. There have been rumors about the Season 2, Part 2 finally being released. Supposedly this will be taking place on July 25th, which, as we know, or June 25th, oh my goodness, June 25th, which is this Tuesday. We are filming on Sunday, the 23rd, and I was a little skeptical, but I have to admit I'm really excited. I'm just clinging to that glimmer of hope that we're finally getting this last part. However, it does seem like it may be something that's exclusive to the Disney Movie Club, which I'm currently a member of. I don't believe anybody else on the podcast is,
Nope.
But I've been keeping tabs on it that way. There's been nothing as far as the release so far, but who knows? Maybe Tuesday will roll out and there it will be.
Let's hope so, yeah. We'll pray
for
it.
Yeah, one can hope. So I'm also really...
My fingers crossed, definitely.
All my fingers, yeah.
I'm also really hoping that, maybe this isn't something that will be a Disney exclusive, and people who don't belong to Disney Movie Club will also be able to purchase it in the stores or purchase it through different online methods as well.
Additionally, if you're listening to the podcast and this is the first time you've ever heard of Gargoyles Reawakening, there is a Facebook group called Gargoyles Reawakening where we are continually talking about the fact that Season 2, Volume 2 may be released on the 25th. You are more than welcome to join us and participate in said conversations and offer your true sense on the issue, and we hope to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. We are also on Twitter and Tumblr as well as our DeviantArt page. So yeah, feel free to stop by, drop us a line, and, let us know what you think, or if you have something you'd like to share in general, we'd love to hear it.
Also to try to spread the word as far and wide as you can about this group, and get both old and new fans, small and big alike, of the fandom, to know about us and to join in. Maybe ask them to get interviewed, or comment and contribute to what you have in any way, shape, or form of Gargoyles to the rest of the fandom as well as to the group. We need all the
more the merrier. Roar from the rooftops. but don't actually climb to a rooftop, because that could be dangerous.
Right, and especially don't fall off or jump. That would be worse.
That would be bad. That would be bad.
As cool as the Gargoyles can glide, we can't. So, don't try that either.
Yeah.
Don't try it at home.
This public service announcement has been brought to you by Gargoyles Reawakening.
Yeah, as I mentioned, though, I am a member of the Disney Movie Club, and I'm not trying to do any type of advertisement here, but, basic information is we have their website on our website. We'll put that out there for you.
Yep.
So please don't sue us. We have no money.
I don't think they're going to...
What little we can to try to buy DVDs for us.
I don't think they're going to sue us. We're getting business for them. But what you do is if you do sign up for the Disney Movie Club, it is a 2-year commitment. You have to buy 5 movies within that 2 years. And then you sign up with your debit card or credit card. And then each month you receive their information. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, as a general rule, and this is what my stepfather told me once, don't ever use your debit card, ladies and gentlemen, because apparently with whatever banking you may or may not have, if you use your debit, you might be liable for any fraudulent charges, whereas with credit, the risk is much less.
Oh, actually, I work at a bank and I do debit card all the time. And yeah, you're not responsible if it's fraud.
Oh, well, color me stupid.
No, you're cool. Nah, it's cool. But that's a good point. I mean, there is that fear about signing up online with your debit or credit card, which I totally get. But yeah, I mean, you do sign up with your credit or your debit card, and it's the 2-year commitment with the 5 movies that you have to purchase. After the 2-year commitment, you can decline or order as much as you want. I usually decline. However, you know, it's actually a very simple club to be a part of. You just receive your pamphlet each month. It'll tell you what the feature movie is of that month, and you can go in and decline it or buy it. However, if you don't go in and commit to it yourself one way or the other, you know, choosing to decline it or you want it, it will be sent to you automatically and you will be charged. It's easy to return, but I'll admit I've done it a few times where I've had to do the return to sender. And get my money back. But generally speaking, it's a very simple club to belong to. I guess I actually ended my membership. I was telling these guys I ended my membership last fall simply because there wasn't any notice that the rest of the Gargoyles series was coming out. And also because I just wasn't finding any movies that I really wanted to purchase. It had been that way for quite a while. So I actually canceled my membership in the fall and I just rejoined and I basically picked up where I left off. So they did honor that membership. And then, yeah, I've just been monitoring the site. So here's hoping that on Tuesday our final part will be released.
Mm-hmm. And fingers, wings, and tails crossed.
Yes.
Maybe there's another thing to say that if you're a non-member and if you're looking for gargoyles in the search box, you won't find it. But if you're member, it appears. That's what you said.
Yeah, that's very important to mention. If you're not a member and you actually go to the link that we provide and you search for gargoyles, nothing comes up. But once I was logged in, it did bring up Season 1, of course, and then Season 2, Part 1 for me. So they are out there on the website. They are always updating what's coming and what will be released soon. Like right now they were advertising the new adventures of Winnie the Pooh, the 35th anniversary of that. They just released, it looked like Goof Troop. I don't know if that's a newer thing because I just renewed my membership this week. But that was out there on the website as a new release. And then it will show you your feature movie too, which I think, if anyone's interested, is The Little Mermaid. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to consider for people, but you know, as Carole mentioned, there is always that fear of putting your information on the internet. So it's up to you.
And again, if you're just tuning into us for the first time, we will most certainly be talking about how to potentially legitimately, you heard me, Disney Corps, I said legitimately, distribute this to every fan that ever existed. So if you have any ideas, again, feel free to contact us on the DeviantArt website or on the Facebook group page, Gargoyles Reawakening.
Please, people, we want to make this work.
Yeah.
This
and
is
we want to make
it
work legitimately.
We're making this show. You keep the fandom alive. Mm-hmm. This is, yes, in a legal, safe way.
Yes, that won't get us sued. Because that would be bad.
Yeah.
Or conned. There are hackers and thieves out there, which is an ocean worth of them.
And now we are off to the ROOOAAR of the month with Lisa.
We decided to focus on the morals and messages of the Gargoyles realm. This was a unique concept in that many of the show had subtle Aesop-type morals within the episodes, while many cartoons of that time had very childlike messages, if any messages at all. You know, the standard of go to bed on time, or do your homework, or Carole's favorite, eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables. Don't do drugs. Brush your teeth. Things like that, yeah.
Don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk to strangers.
But the Gargoyles tied more universal messages that all ages understood and could take to heart on a deeper level. The first one we chose, which this was difficult to narrow these down, we decided the price. And with this one, we felt our morals was the appreciation of life, or the appreciation of what you have, not what you don't have. In this episode, Xanatos kidnaps Hudson because in his quest for immortality, he is going to experiment on Hudson using this magical object called the Cauldron of Life. Nobody knows anything about this cauldron, but Xanatos feels that Hudson would be a worthwhile subject simply because he's old. He's lived out his life. Therefore, he must be worthless. Hudson, on the other hand, is trying to show him, I've lived my life. I've had a good life. I don't regret it. Everything that's in front of you is what should be important, not the fear of dying. And so I just think that was really resounding, how Hudson's like, I may be old, but I'm not useless. You know, just because you age, you need to take those experiences with you, not worry about what's to come. And I really think Hudson even proves his point when he shows how resourceful he is in the end. He escapes his fate. He uses his own stone skin to break out of his prison and escape the Steel Clan robot. And that really opened Xanatos' eyes too. Not that it made him change his mind about his quest for immortality, but it did make him look at different maybe sources of how to achieve that goal.
Right. And who knows, maybe even planted the seeds for, later on in the last episode of Hunter's Moon. It was like, hey, can I offer you guys a lift? And
yeah. I do think there's a lot of truth to that. He still stayed Xanatos, and, he'll never be anything but the scheming, brilliant man he is. But it did make him look at life a little differently, I truly believe.
Right, and instead of, scheming to, screw somebody over, maybe scheming to, I don't know, build irrigation pipes in Africa or something.
Exactly.
Do something beneficial than simply, I want to take over the world.
And live forever.
Yeah.
Yes, I am
well,
God.
hey, I mean, it's not much of a world if you can't support the people living on it. So it's kind of a give and take. You want to have this megalomaniacal, future. But, I mean, what's the point of having it if, your subjects don't love you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, which I suppose, it's one thing to be loved, and it's another thing to have power. But if you are constantly looking behind your back while you are in a position of power, well, that's not really fun, is it?
No, indeed.
Nope. The second one was Outfoxed, where we talk about the responsibility of actions and that actions have consequences. In this episode, Renard takes Goliath as his prisoner because Renard is still feeling pretty upset, pretty peeved about the destruction of Air Force One. Or what?
Air Force One.
Yeah, it's not
Air Fortress.
Cyberbiotics One. Yay for
Fortress One.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. See, like I said, I liked what I said the first
Get
time.
off my hovercraft.
Or I'm going to stick this creepy child molester on you. Steve Buscemi nightmares. Where was I? Oh, but of course Goliath still believes that Demona was fully responsible for the destruction of the Air Fortress. And Air Force.
Air Fortress.
I know that now. I knew it before too. I just had a slip. And Renard just wants to instill this proof that even though Goliath didn't destroy the airship with his own hands, he was involved, and therefore he, did need to apologize and repent for what had been done. And then the next episode we looked at, how could we overlook deadly force? This one was a not-so-subtle message focused on the importance of gun safety, which is a controversial issue even today.
Most certainly, yeah.
Yeah. The message at the heart of this episode is that guns are ultimately tools that need to be handled with respect and responsibility. And, they have very realistic actions and consequences of what can happen when you're not responsible with these items. Broadway was brand new to this world, very childlike, and he saw a weapon that had been illustrate on movies. I'm not saying anything about media here, but he went with what he saw on TV. Elisa had just hung her gun on her coat rack like she had done for years. She had never given it a second thought.
Right.
And
she had never been in a position where she needed to, which in and of itself kind of makes you wonder what they were teaching her at the academy, but...
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it showed what can happen when a gun is left out carelessly, and that it is a tool.
Right.
And even going forward, Elisa wasn't recovered immediately. There were still consequences, even though she did not perish from the accident.
But she almost did.
She almost did.
They made a good point of showing that she was right. She could have easily died.
Exactly. And, I mean, her heart even stopped. They had to use the epinephrine, and they had to use the paddles to bring her back.
Yeah, they did everything.
Yep. So, I mean, it's a very realistic message that I do feel holds true today. And it's interesting, to hear people still talk about this episode. This was the episode that rightfully showed the importance of gun safety. Mm-hmm. So
it's funny that you mentioned deadly force. If I may, go into my whole storytelling mode here, I actually met a woman who had worked for Toon Disney at the time that they were considering and working to get Gargoyles on their lineup. Mm-hmm. Now, I was kind of geeking out by this time, so I'm not exactly sure, but she did bring up, how much of a fight there was for standards and practices regarding whether or not they should put deadly force on the lineup. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that she argued for putting it on the lineup, but I can't quite remember because, like I said, I was geeking out at the time. But it was really neat to see the way she said, it's the one where someone gets shot. And I knew right away she was talking about deadly force. I'm like, oh wow, that's very interesting. So mm-hmm. I mean, even then and even now, it's just I don't know what it is about a United States person who owns a firearm that is so, what's the word, adamant about what is available to them and what is not, or what they can and can't do. Now, granted, mm-hmm. I don't own a weapon, so I don't know what the mindset is of somebody who does.
Exactly.
But obviously, this is not a black and white issue.
No, and it certainly never will be.
Right.
But what I did appreciate was how, even though the episode itself ended, you took away that feeling that everybody's lives had changed for the better with it. Broadway suddenly hated all guns. He realized how dangerous they could be, and Elisa took the responsibility of actually putting her gun in the lockbox.
Right.
So, I mean, they each learned that this tool can be dangerous.
Right.
And it's depending on who has it. Elisa is very responsible with it. She's a grown-up. She's trained with it. Broadway's Broadway. He didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm sure, granted, had he had the same training that Elisa had, certainly he would look at the firearm in a different light. But obviously the whole point was, well, he's just been asleep for the past 1,000 years.
Yeah.
He's never even seen a gun, and now they're showing that Western.
Yep.
And, they've got, I think the scene is like they play the epic Western music as he's leaving the theater, and, he's playing with the gun, because guns, at least in that movie, are supposedly cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that that's how maybe a lot of people who aren't exposed to guns see them. I personally don't feel that way. I don't own them, but, I'm not taking sides on them. It. But yeah, I mean, I don't own one, so I don't understand, but I can understand how it's a shiny new toy for a kid. So.
Right. Right. Especially with the metallic finish and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
The next one we chose was the green. We did feel that this one was another more in-your-face message, but also an important one. I mean, there is the controversy of, the greenhouse effect and global warming, and how, certain events certain actions we take are affecting our world. And what I really liked about this episode is, even though the messages were in your face, it really depicted the two sides of the debate, and it didn't go into the corporation side of it, but it went into, people do need these items for certain living expense or certain living luxury.
The issue was that it was a conflict between really naturalism to the preservation of the environment to that of cultivationism, whereas you're shaping the land to fit human needs, whereas the farmers were having to cut down the forest to get both the lumber and the need for for their own welfare, as well as creating farmland to grow. But by doing that, you're sacrificing the wilderness and the ecosystem of the rainforest.
Mm-hmm.
And still, that is a major issue with that countries of the tropical regions of the world, in Africa and South America, is like the episode focuses on, and in Asia, where the rainforests still count, but there's populations that are trying to survive what they have at hand within their environment.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. The next one we chose was The Lighthouse in the Sea of Time. Again, not as subtle as many of the other episodes, but this one did focus on the important concept of literacy and how knowledge just brings this power to you that you wouldn't otherwise have. Broadway was proud of being unable to read. He didn't think he was really missing anything, and Hudson was shamed by it, which is a very common theme among people who, haven't had the opportunity to learn how to read, or they can't read. It does bring shame to them. And what I really liked about this episode is, Broadway saw the light at the end. He realized he'd been missing this whole world of, books and knowledge and just everything that he could have been taking in this new world. He had been pretty much ignoring, whereas Hudson, admitted to his shame, and he learned that, he wasn't too old to learn some of these new tricks of this new world. And I also loved that this episode was actually shown in a few school districts. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it was shown.
You told us that about in your school.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't shown in my school. My school wasn't cool enough to do that.
Oh, okay.
But I wish it was.
It
It should have been in the area that I lived. It probably would have really benefited some of the kids. But yeah, this one was actually shown in some school districts.
What I like about this episode is that it's like it's a point of view of an older person that never learned to read, and it's not like to make this message understandable, like you choose. He could have chosen Lexington or even Broadway. I don't know if they can read either, but they really choose to show this character Hudson, and he's a grown up, and he saw a lot of things and a lot of battles, but he's also ashamed and proud of this particular thing, that I think it was a really interesting point of view and a really clever way to
address it.
Yeah.
I think what you're trying to get at was that it's still, even at an old age, you're still learning all throughout your life. There's never a point where you in life there's always from beginning to the end. You're always discovering more about this world that's being revealed, even if it's already known in existence. It's still new to you in your life, but you never before discovered it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And plus, it also in itself, it's a little wink to how this show is really based upon literature itself. This is all inspired from Shakespearean mythology, so it's like a self-tribute that Gargoyles is not just a cartoon show; it's also an inspiration. It was,
yeah. The next one we chose was The Thrill of the Hunt, and this, of course, gives us the first view of the pack. Lexington and the other clan members have been forced to watch episodes of the pack for months, and we felt that this message touched on a few different messages. One was that you couldn't believe everything that you see
on TV.
Yeah, especially on TV, or in this case, the internet, in modern times. But back then, of course, the TV was a huge outlet. Also to trust your instincts, because I think the others had a little bit of self-doubt. Well, mostly Goliath. I think the other ones were pretty intrigued by the pack. But Goliath's instincts told him that something was very wrong, and unfortunately Lexington, didn't want to believe that because he was
they don't have enough experience.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it just, to me, it kind of showed how the young can be led astray so easily.
It's also, I think it was another message to us indirectly. It's the way it's another teasing. Don't talk to strangers. And being that the youngest of the ones, he was very eager to just go out to these strangers.
Trust.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like a don't look for trouble. They knew that they shouldn't reveal themselves to humans, but Lexington just had to do it, and therefore it snowballed. The pack wanted to hunt these creatures anyway, and what better opportunity than the one who landed right in front of them. Mm-hmm. So.
But the point too is I can't believe everything what you see is that. Yeah, at first, you're introduced to it, but you have to be skeptical about it, if it actually be true or not. You actually would have to go and find out more, as there is actually any truth behind it that will be worthy to believe it or not. Mm-hmm. You don't want to, I wanted to mention that because there's, a lot of silliness that is out there on the internet where they just basically. That's full of everything that points out that you can't believe everything you see, which is they're actually taking real facts. There used to be a history before, everyone was the internet, and hearing people now just posting like, I don't believe, we humans are even humans. We're just, some alien experiment. Those conspiracy theories, poo-poo.
The next one was Temptation, and this gave you the message of loyalty, which isn't, again, a subtle message, but it showed how easily you can be tricked. You allow yourself to believe what you want to believe. We also dubbed this "Don't Think with the Wrong Head, Brooklyn," but that was just to be funny. But Brooklyn, he knew that something just wasn't right, and Demona just preyed on him. I mean, he was young, he was new to the world.
It's all about self-esteem, really. Pure pressure.
Yeah, he really did lack a confidence when he first awoke in Manhattan. I mean, he was still the confident, cool one who drove the motorcycles, but as far as relationships with the others, maybe, he just wasn't as sure about his abilities yet. And so he, in the end, ended up betraying Goliath a little bit, which I think was.
It's also all about, saying the truth, but not all the truth, because Demona is not really lying to him, but she's not saying everything.
Right.
She's only saying that what she wants to be. Yeah, she's manipulative, totally. Yeah.
She's manipulating him with those half-truths.
He can't see that.
No. And the next...
Beware the devil with silver tongue.
Yeah, she is the devil with the silver tongue. Mm-hmm. And then we decided to touch on Double Jeopardy, The Reckoning, and any of the episodes with the mutates. In a way, this was a don't play God message.
It's alive!
It's a Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, it happened too in the episode with Coldstone being introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what you're creating.
God, it usually ends very badly, or just pretty much nature going, what the F?
Next we went with Heritage, which we felt this one was important because it teaches you about respecting your roots. No matter what changes in your life, you're always going to have that familiarity of, where your home is, where you came from. And Natsalani tried desperately to fight against that, but in the end he really found himself, and he found where he belonged, was right where he should have been the whole time, which was on the island, instead of trying to leave it. I don't know, I think this one is just important because it does kind of show the breakaway, maybe a little more about like the mystical realm. Like people are getting so focused on technology and everything that he was forgetting his heritage altogether.
And the other important too is still there's reflection of there's aspects of a heritage that is not just ritual to respect your culture, your nature, who you are, to give you self-worth, but it's also there's guidelines where it helps to get an idea where you might want to go ahead in your life and do the right things, not to just blindly make errors and mistakes that could cost you dearly and hurt you for the rest of your life, handicap you from becoming better and living a full life, healthy life at that too. Living at all. I mean,
yeah. Then we do have
never making those type of mistakes where it will cost you dearly.
And of course, what podcast could be complete without the mirror? Had to talk about that one.
Yeah.
Of course, we felt that one was be careful what you wish for. The Gargoyles naturally wanted to see what it was like to be human. I don't think Elisa necessarily wanted to find out what it was like to be a gargoyle for the day.
They never wanted to know what it was like to be human themselves. Were they? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they were talking about how...
Oh, they did. Okay. Yeah, a little bit.
Little bit.
But it was indirectly,
integration.
Though.
How is it to feel to fit in?
Yeah.
Puck pretty much, though, did without realizing what the other ones were actually thinking, but still, be careful what you wish for. Still come to the principle, yes, and you'll never know what might happen if you think and act in that way. And it's going to happen to you. Just like the old jokes is that, you keep making faces like that, it's going to be stuck that way. Because you never know what might happen. You might upset the wrong person and slap you silly. Your face is stuck like that permanently.
Well, I mean, Demona, in the end, kind of got that too, because she didn't want to turn to stone anymore.
Instead of stone.
And the last one we chose was MIA, which we felt this one was evil succeeds only when good does nothing. The story unfolded because back in 1940, Una and Leo decided not to act, while Griff really wanted to go out and be in the heat of battle and fight these Nazis and protect his land. And so it brings us back to 1990, I guess it'd be 95 in the Gargoyles world. And here they are, bitter because their Brookery brother, their comrade, has been missing all of these years. And they inevitably blamed themselves, but they needed to lash out and blame Goliath. They felt he was responsible for Griff's disappearance.
The thing is that, more importantly with the episode, is here it is where MIA is about where, as you said, succeeds only where good does nothing, is that here, if they didn't stood by, they stood by the evil triumphant and getting away what it did, which is take away Griff. And if they did stood by, he would still be alive. Whereas also in the theme is that in the present, they were at the issue with not having to do anything in guarding London, which was showing that there was gangs who were being racist to ethnicity and ethnic minorities on the streets. Whereas here in World War II, you're fighting against a military force, the Nazis, who are out for world domination and seeking the destruction of their enemies. So here they are opposing, which is basically an example of evil in the form of hate.
Yeah. So there were many more episodes that we could have talked about, but due to time restraints, we had to select some of the major pieces. It's amazing how these messages still apply 15 years later, and how the show marked us. That concludes our Roar of the Month. And now we are on to our fanfictions with Charles.
Yay!
Hi-oh! Well, what I have for this episode is two fanfictions, as always, but one's from fanfiction.net, and this time another one from deviantart.com. The first one from fanfiction.net, and this time I promise, this is brand new. and it looks rather promising. It's not an old fix. That's what I've been trying to promote before to help get Kickstarter back to life, which unfortunately some of them, since I've done episodes already for, they have disappeared permanently, sadly. So I apologize for all those who did try to look for them and they're not around anymore to read. So only will for now on try to find those that are brand new that are actually good on fanfiction.net. The one that is, though, I'm wanting to talk about is called Gargoyles Island by Night Mysterio. The story is based on the theme of the episode Mirror, whereas once again, all New York City, or possibly from, it's a little bit difficult to understand how the story was written. Either just the city or the entire world has become Gargoyles once more, and most likely for good, depending upon really how the story goes. And it looks to be quite interesting story once it fully starts growing beyond just the first chapter. That's all he has done so far. But there's hints that there should be some continuation, despite a little bit of coininess here and there, and definitely a plot hole right in the beginning, wondering where did this source of magic that comes from to create the whole mirror incident all over again. However, though, it is a very curious fic to pay attention to, and probably give it advice to how further it becoming even better and becoming worth what it potentially could be. The other one that's on DeviantArt, which is on DeviantArt.com, is done by Immortal Bond, called Gargoyles, Creation, and Decimation. Right off the bat, I want to warn you, this is not for the faint of heart. This fic even gives me the creeps reading this.
Yeah, only with
a
the
dark
title.
and sinister plot of angst and... Excuse me?
Just the title make me shiver.
Yeah, it's very, very
Decimation.
creepy and eerie. Yeah.
Like I said, it's a dark and sinister plot of angst and drama, but very intriguing and shocking read that grabs you right from the start, all the way to its most recent chapter. It even though some of them may feel a little bit short, it is chock full of what the blank.
Mm-hmm.
The story is about, somewhere without giving away anything, is Dr. Severus creates a perfect experiment on a gargoyle that not only surpasses him and possesses a threat to both humanity and gargoyles, but puts the lives of Goliath, Elisa, and their baby through danger and turmoil.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It has some ideas in there that that this original character just gives me the absolute chills. And what it was starting to foreshadow, just ooh. I thought my idea of darkness and villainy in my fan fiction was pretty bleak and grim. This guy definitely is going for the gold, and I definitely a high recommend reading. But like I said, you better want to grab a teddy bear for this one, just in case.
You'll
if
be
it's
warned.
just a little bit too much for your nerves to take, and reading into what is to come and what's popping up in every chapter, as well as get ready to also to say ouch on certain things, because
can I ask a question? How many chapters is it, or is it actually
8
completed?
so far?
Okay, it's not
still
completed.
An ongoing series.
It's still ongoing.
Gargoyles Island is only 1 chapter. This one is already on to 8 chapters, and even though some of them are short, it is, like I said, chock full of wows and oh my gods and okay, I need to change my underwear.
Is it gore or more psychological?
psychological, a little bit of gore in there,
Okay.
but it definitely hints at that what is to come.
Okay.
Does it seem like Immortal Blood plans to finish this one, or has it been on hiatus a little bit?
I'm hoping so. I think so. If he's made it this far, there's no indication where it's the end. Especially, and it would be injustice if he did, because the last chapter he did, it was a cliffhanger. Definitely a big cliffhanger. Just when you think just the main character alone is bad enough. Some of the parties involved with the main character. Oh, you better start making plans for Armageddon.
Mm.
Very cool. It definitely sounds good. I wonder if the author is just preparing the next chapter to live up to that cliffhanger on the end of the 8th chapter. So hopefully,
I think it's definitely going to be a long-going series.
Oh, cool.
Because what is being building up is wow. This feels like it definitely needs to be fully explored. And I give it, if anybody who wants a something that's really fresh and going over reading that takes even more darker turn and then already what Disney's Gargoyles is by itself, even with the comic books where they even had some moments where Disney cartoons couldn't explore. I would recommend this, and especially just with just wondering what the hell is going to happen next, and if it's really going to come to pass, what it's foreshadowing through this main character, through this original character that's becoming the focus of the story, and how she and Elisa's and Goliath's baby play a role together in this story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Further on.
Well,
So that's my fan fiction for this episode.
Well, they both sound very good. All
Here's
right.
an interesting question. In your personal opinion, Charles, how true to the canon characters do you consider these authors have succeeded or not succeeded? Obviously, they must have succeeded in some point.
Yeah,
because you're obviously
Gargoyles
recommending
Island.
them.
It felt that a little bit loose. Definitely with, for example, Demona. The corniness. I'll definitely give it away just to save everyone a little bit of trouble when they cringe at the reading part.
Spoiler warning!
Yes, thank you. That,
We should get like some kind of whoop, spoiler warning, warning.
She starts to get a little inspiration from a certain Marvel comic book supervillain, and she's wanting to aspire to that, to see that since now that, once again, humanity is turned to the gargoyles and people are afraid of who they are, I can, interest them through charisma to embrace who they are.
Gotcha.
And follow me.
Gotcha. Okay. But in all, despite the what's a good
and the
phrase?
sorts of how they, all everybody transforming the gargoyles too. It's also a little bit cheesy as well. Even though I can see what maybe the person trying to do over there. Some of the cameos of what the Gargoyles cartoon did, like from Beauty and the Beast. But it still felt like it needs some more explanation there to just kind of throw it in.
You're talking about Gargoyles Island?
Gargoyles Island, yes.
I just skimmed through that, and it actually looks kind of cool. Now, I gotta say one thing.
Like you said, it's good. It has potential.
There's a point in here in which the Jinn, and I'm probably pronouncing that atrociously wrong, he starts to rhyme. I cannot rhyme and do poetry for the life of me, so...
But that's how magic
Mr. or
spells
Mrs.
are
Author,
cast.
what's your screen name? Night Mysterio, if you are listening to this, good on you for the poetry.
Yeah, that's not bad. I have anything against that. I'm not picking on that whatsoever. I'm also saying that I need to fill in the background of where did he get the genie's lamp to get the genie to perform the task of converting everybody into gargoyles.
Right. I think let's see, you say this was recent? When was
Yeah,
this?
a few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago. So who knows? Maybe the guy's working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
And only one chapter. Like I said, that's why I wanted to promote it. It's like, but don't, there's some things here and there but it's only the first chapter. So people who are interested, has potential, help the guy out. Give us some suggestions. Even help, supportive criticism.
Oh, totally.
Give them ideas.
Yeah. See, whenever
whereas Creation Decimation, already a fantastic story, but this is not cheesy. This is not for the light of heart where Gargoyles Island is. This one here is more of borderline Stephen King-esque level of style of storytelling.
Yeah, see, that was one thing that at least me personally, whenever I used to write, I always had a problem with writing the main characters of Gargoyles. I didn't understand them enough that I felt comfortable with, writing them. So what I did, like for my fanfic debut, I actually did, versions of them from alternate dimensions a la Sliders. I don't know if anybody of you watched that show. It aired around the same time as Gargoyles.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was my cop out. But and then another idea was that, in homage to Greg Weisman thinking as big as he does, with my character Guardian, I eventually turned her into an extraterrestrial from another world, a parallel universe, because I didn't want to sully the amazing continuity universe of Gargoyles with, my own inferior ideas. That's ultimately what I was thinking of at that time.
Mm-hmm. And I guess when I do my fan fictions, I find it fairly easy to write as the canon characters. Maybe that's just how I perceive it. Someone who is reading is probably like, oh, they don't act that way. But yeah, I totally understand. Like, in order to pay homage, it does take a lot to get into those characters' heads and figure out how they would act, not necessarily how you would want them to act.
Right. And see, that's the importance of fanfic. I mean, it's one thing to have, the Gargoyles meet the Power Rangers or something. But if you really want to make that work, and I believe it is possible to make that work. In fact, there was, back in the day, somebody had written a fanfic of a crossover between Sliders and Gargoyles, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was heads above what I was doing at the time. I mean, I thought, they did such a great job with the Gargoyles characters and the Sliders characters. It was like, I couldn't possibly ever, match up to that. So I didn't try. But, the idea is, like, if you know the characters well enough and you accept that these are not your characters, you are using characters that somebody else has created and somebody else has given life and personality to. If you can go into that personality and figure out what makes them tick and write like that, I think that is a far, and this is just my personal opinion, I mean, it's a far greater achievement than you creating your own character because you know your character.
Exactly.
But if you can write somebody else's character, particularly a syndicated character, not even somebody else's fan character, though that would be around the same lines. If you can get into somebody else's head and figure out what they were thinking,
and make it
I think that's an even greater homage to the character and the universe than you creating your own character. Which creating your own character obviously is an homage in and of itself. And granted, this is my personal opinion. An original character is more fan service to yourself.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, the TGS stuff, which those people, I mean, they put their blood and their body and their soul and their tears into that thing.
Tears, and
I
blood.
really enjoyed reading all of those. I thought they did a fantastic job sticking true to the characters and not letting their own wants, desires, and dreams getting into the way.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. It's far more rewarding when you can nail a character that's already in existence. like
Right.
that. And
Right.
yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly about TGS. Like, TGS is the reason I kind of started writing, actually. I mean, I already had my ideas and thoughts, but without that universe, existing, I would still just be writing them on my computer. They wouldn't be anywhere else, so.
Right.
I'm still waiting to read them. I'm dying to read them. I'm waiting to read the rest of them. They're that good.
Oh, thank you. 2 of them are posted. The first 2 parts, and then I have so many more, but I just haven't posted them yet. I'm lazy.
You got a baby.
I have a baby. Yes,
finished.
I have a baby.
Makes all the sense of the world. Those darn babies, they're so high maintenance.
Yeah.
Feeding, diaper changing,
they're
clothing.
demanding.
I mean, wow. It's just wow.
And he's a chatterbox. I don't know where he gets that from, but he's a chatterbox, so he likes to talk to people. So he does a lot of babbling. It's so cute. Anyway,
Aww.
Your nerdiness. I like to call him sometimes the hatchling. I think Lisa's gargoyle character. A little egg.
It was like an egg in my stomach for a while. But anyway, I feel like we should probably get to Carole's part.
For this time, I chose to talk about, for 3 pieces of art, but this time I chose to show you a special piece of art, which is a AMV, a music video made between a fandom, so here Gargoyles, and a band, and a special song, which is, for this case, it's Apocalyptica in its path, the song, and let me just show it to you. Where are you? Up. Here it is.
Yeah, I'm watching it watching it right now, and then I looked at it a little bit before I had to go to work yesterday, and it's like, ooh, this is cool.
I know, the music fits it so well.
And it looks like, at least on the YouTube page for it, it was submitted for judging at the 07 gathering and won for Best Action.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It did.
Cool. Well, hooray for oh shoot, what's the guy's username? I'm sorry.
It is Writer4Z.
Writer4Z? Good on you. Congratulations.
Yes.
A bit late. I'm sorry, but congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, because this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the editing is just perfect.
Yeah, it's flawless.
Yay. Yeah, it's. I mean, for someone.
I love how the music flows with where the Viking leader meets Demona. It just gives that extra oh shit.
Right. Yeah. Good. Yeah. I've never been able to do editing like this, so to be able to see someone else do it's like, whoa.
I mean, it's seamless. It really is. You can't tell where he did the cuts.
Right. That's just
perfect,
awesome and
gothic
fantastic.
feel with the medieval theme of the Awakening storyline.
Right.
Like it just gets me pumped. I want to go watch Awakening now.
Yeah.
I want to watch most of my DVDs, which I haven't done in a while, but this one just makes me want to watch the whole thing.
Right, yeah. Kind of like, where did they get these steals from? This awesome.
Almost gives you goosebumps a little bit.
It does for me every time too.
Because it's childhood all over again. At
totally
least for me.
is. Yep.
Yeah.
Childhood enough for me. I was still sort of a kid. I wasn't a teen yet, so there we go. Childhood for me.
There we go. Hooray!
Yay!
Yay!
I would say that music video right there is to help anybody get introduced what is Gargoyles like. Right there. That is the easy way of doing it. Just watch this music video. Just tell what it's all about. What is Gargoyles? Holy shit! How did I miss this? How did I get into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just perfect. How he edited the images, how it fits with the music. It's just wow, perfect. I understand why it got a prize at the gathering. Really.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
This is the how to get into Gargoyles.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, basically.
So that was the first, and after that I decided to show you this one, which is a sketch by Lauren Montgomery. Oh, I forgot for the AMV. It was from Writer4Z, and it's available on YouTube. But I think, well, we all said that during the video. So next, then there's this sketch by Lauren Montgomery, which is actually a very big name, I would say, in the animation industry, since she is I think she's the head of storyboards at Nickelodeon. She worked on Avatar on the last season, and she's on Legend of Korra, so she's a big name, a big deal.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and actually that's the only Demona she drew, the only gargoyles, I think, and I really like the dynamic of the picture, of the pose, and if you see really closely, you see that she hesitated a lot about the posing. You can see the attempt with the legs at the bottom of the picture, if you can see that.
Right, I see, and granted, I'm no artist, but it looks like she had a lot of, I don't want to say mistakes, but it looks like she had a lot of ideas.
Of research, yeah.
Yes, before she finally settled on what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And I really like the expression, all the character that spill out from the character. You can see that she's fearsome and she's angry and
yes.
And it's all I'm talking French.
Take ass.
Wouldn't be Demona without her being
without having any bubble gum.
Wouldn't be Demona without her showing her blood rage.
Yeah.
It's very true.
It's very expressive.
What I love about Gargoyles art in general is that you know the show had one particular animation format, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. And what I love is when people, either when they are true to that format, or they are true and then add their own little intricacies, for lack of a better term. So, sometimes people will add like actual claws on the hands and the feet, as opposed to them just being the singular little talons that we saw in the show without any what's the word?
Wingtips.
Shoot.
Are you talking about like
the
wing hands, or are you talking about the struts?
Oh, no, I'm talking about like in various artwork that is shown on, that is loaded on DeviantArt. Some people, as opposed to the standard claws that you see in the show, they actually give their
special
their
touch.
artwork has actual fingernails.
Fingernails, yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is fantastic. I mean, granted, something like that would probably have been a bit too much work for the animators. And if I recall with the first season, the commentaries, like the whole idea of having the wings out all the time, and then they just kind of cape them. They were like, "Whoa, that's so cool! It takes so much time."
It's brilliant. It makes them look regal that way too. It makes them very majestic and power, and give it a sense of power and authority.
Right.
They're so majestic.
Right. These you've got these huge creatures that, I mean, they look human and yet they're not, and yet they've got this basically what's a cape. So it's like, you've got this,
cape.
The noble barbarian, for lack of a better term.
It just gives them that regal medieval look in which they in which the gargoyles were originally adaptive of the time they existed.
Right.
Because that has that medieval royal cloak and cape to them.
Right.
Yeah, that give them a little glimpse of like chivalry or like civilization. Yeah. In confronted to their barbaric appearance.
Right.
I think.
Exactly.
Or at the very least, their other appearance, because they're definitely not human.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Sentience. It gives a sense of like a civilized sentience.
Right.
Yeah. And the third one, the last one, I chose this one, which is a gargoyle drawn by Banana Work. Her real name is Stephanie Ham, and so I really like the color tone that she chose, and that the fact that she's
would that be like a sepia?
I guess, very, very warm, and sepia is a little bit more yellow, I guess. It's more earth-like, this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a terracotta color. Almost.
There you
go.
Yeah,
more
that's better.
Yeah.
Like very warm and
very
like different,
red.
Yeah, different shades of red.
Yeah.
Although I understand why you're saying warm, but I don't feel warm looking at this picture. I feel scared.
Oh, I meant the coloring.
Yeah, the color.
No, I know, but it's like, that person, that gargoyle doesn't seem to have good intentions.
But it's between the dance and the seducing, but at the same time the sword give it a little bit of indeed she's she's not well intentioned. She's at the same time fiercely attractive.
She's a pretty girl. She's a killer warrior.
Yeah. She's like a dancer, but she's a warrior. But she's a little bit seductive. But and I really like this kind of Arabian Night touch, because I'm a big fan of Arabian Night. So I really like this one. Because of that too, yeah.
Do we know if this is a particular dance, like in the like belly dancing? Do we know if this is a particular dance, or?
To be honest, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea either.
No, I don't know.
I know very little about belly dancing. The only stuff I know is from when I've been reading what Cindy Kennard has on her Facebook. But I may be mistaken. This doesn't look like belly dancing per se to me, but I mean, I may be atrociously mistaken.
No, it doesn't quite look like belly dancing to me either. It's just that's the closest I could come. It really is more like a warrior dance.
I know that in belly dancing there's a special dance with swords. So
Yeah, and I think that's where I was getting it from, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe,
Cool.
yeah. I don't know, yeah.
If anything, it reminds me of the scene in the movie 300 where the Oracle is commuting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of ancient.
Good point. You know, there's a video out there too where they dubbed over 300, the trailer 300, with gargoyles.
So, the last thing, well, I would say that they were all posted in 2008, so they are quite old, I guess. But they are still good piece of art. So I'm glad that I show you this in case you didn't know them. So, well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm thrilled you shared them.
So I guess I'm done, and then I let Lisa welcoming our guest.
All right. Well, welcome to our interview portion. Today we have Miss Youkaiyume from DeviantArt. Her real name is Sandra Chim, and she was very energetic in responding to us, so we can't wait to speak with her. How are you doing today, Sandra?
I'm doing good.
Yay!
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
So, to begin with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Sandra?
So I'm, as everyone knows, I'm more commonly known as Youkaiyume on the internet, and I'm an artist. Currently, right now, I work in social mobile games, and I specialize in animation. And I've been a fan of Gargoyles ever since it came out in 94. And I guess around that time,
94.
I was 6 years old when I first saw it.
Oh, wow. I was 12, actually. My brother was 6, so he's your age.
I think I was around, early to mid-teens.
Was your brother also a fan then? He was also 6?
Yeah, he was a fan of it. Actually, I got him to wear all the cool Goliath stuff that they would come out with at that time. So for Halloween, for Halloween he did the Goliath. I was also able to go to the Disney store and buy him some of those T-shirts that, of course, wouldn't have fit a teenage girl. So he rocked those.
So you lived vicariously through your 6-year-old brother?
Totally did. Still kind of do. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, he was a huge Goliath fan, so that worked out.
Okay.
Aww. Yeah, and we were able to get more of the action figures because he wanted them.
My brother was a fan too. Well, it's
gotcha.
Fine. We always together just plopped right down on the couch every Friday when it would come on, the new episode of the week, and just got glued speechlessly for a full half hour watching the episode.
Yeah, that was pretty much my household too.
Well, we had anybody trying to do something bad in the valley, because then, of course, they would switch from the cartoon to whatever was going on.
Oh, I suppose you live in Los Angeles.
I live in the San Fernando Valley area, which is part of LA County.
Oh, I used to live in the San Fernando Valley right before I moved up here.
Oh, neat. What area, if you don't mind my asking?
I lived in Van Nuys.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I live in West Hills.
Oh, so close.
Whoa, cool.
I
now I
love
go to
LA.
the comic store in the Van Nuys also. And if anybody knocks on my door, I will respond with a bat. You've been warned. And my dog is very ferocious.
He's totally a lap dog, isn't he?
Warning.
Actually, no, in fact, I was concerned because I heard her barking outside. I was like, wow, is that coming into the podcast? But I figured since nobody would say, hey, oh my God, who's that dog? Then we're fine.
So, Sandra, you were pretty young when the show came out. How did you discover Gargoyles?
I watched it as a kid on the Disney afternoon block. So every day in school, I guess I would be looking at the clock and only a couple more hours till I get to go home and watch Gargoyles. Yeah, so that's how I saw it. I just watched it when the cartoons were just going on, and I just happened to be on. I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah, but at the same time, I actually felt, at the time, I felt embarrassed about liking it because it wasn't, none of my friends were watching it, and that I felt like it wasn't geared toward my age group. And, I thought, and since I was a girl, too, there were all these other shows that were going on that was, 4 girls, and it just wasn't the same. So
Yeah.
4 girls.
So I was just like, I feel embarrassed about liking this. I feel like I shouldn't, but I love it. So it was really terrible.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, kids at school would go, "Oh my God, you like Gargoyles?" I was like, "Yep, I do. So sue me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep watching it. I don't care."
I had a boss at work a couple years ago. We were talking about our favorite cartoons, and he was still making fun of me. But, at that point, it was just happy teasing. It wasn't like, oh, my God, you like this show. So,
right.
Yeah.
Because, we're adults and, somewhat more civilized now.
Somewhat.
Supposedly.
Yeah. And so that's what made you a big fan, or what made you a big fan, actually, is you just enjoyed going home and watching it, and you knew it was geared toward, like, an older group, or was there something that really called out to you?
I liked Gargoyles a lot because, again, like, since I was a girl and this type of show wasn't geared towards me, I was tomboyish in that respect. And I felt like other shows that were around my I was supposed to like My Little Pony or Care Bears that were going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They were really boring and they didn't have much to say to me. And I thought the lessons were really juvenile, and I was just like, I feel like I'm better than and I felt like the lessons they try to hammer into you, they were wrapped in nice rainbow packages and, sprinkled with glitter. But, which is why I liked Gargoyles so much when I saw it, even as a kid's show, it never felt like they treated me like I was a kid or like, I was too little or stupid to know what was going on. And, I felt like they gave their audience a lot of credit and they focused on really good storytelling. And, even if, as a kid, even if I didn't quite grasp everything that was going on, like the story was still really intriguing to me, and as an adult now, I can rewatch it and appreciate it even more.
Yeah. The last thing a child wants to be treated as is a kid.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that it wasn't just about the action. There was lots of action, but it wasn't just about the action. It was like lots of character development stuff. And, even growing up, I guess I was a shipper at heart, even if I didn't know if I was a shipper. So I really wanted to see where Goliath and Elisa were going. So that's also why I wanted to watch a lot.
Nice.
It's funny that you actually mentioned the messages of the show, because that's our Roar of the Month this time around. We were talking about how the messages still hold true to this day and age. I mean, it's years later, and, some of the gun safety or the, the lessons that you can take away with it are still relevant today.
Yeah, they're so universal.
Literature.
Yeah.
About just reading, which the whole show was based upon Shakespearean literature.
All right. So did you have a particularly favorite episode or a favorite character?
It's really hard because there's so many that I liked. I think by default, a lot of people say The Mirror. I like The Mirror a lot too, general favorite. I really like the Hunter's Moon trilogy, I thought the animation. Yeah. Well, besides all besides my bursting shipper heart, the animation was just so amazing, and I felt like everything tied in really well. So I thought it was a really amazing way to end, I guess, the show.
Yes.
And one of my favorite episodes was, when you were talking about gun control, Deadly Force was also up there. I just felt like they were really smart about the way they handled that episode, and I feel like, again, it's really relevant. So, and again, it's not like I felt like they were talking down on me or being preachy about, be careful about gun control and that kind of stuff.
Right.
It just felt really natural and smart. So.
Right. It was kind of like, okay, so here's the situation. This is what happens when you're not responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Your actions have consequences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was a plausible consequence. It wasn't like, it especially, and I think this has been talked about so many times, but a good 3 to 5 episodes afterwards, Elisa wasn't suddenly better. She was still walking with crutches.
Yeah, there were still consequences and ramifications that she still had to deal with. So it's not like it goes away in one episode.
Yeah.
Right.
And they didn't sweep it under the rug. I mean, they showed the blood. They showed her fighting for her life, too, in the particular episode. And then again, the recovery. It wasn't, hey, next episode, I'm better in a half hour.
Well,
right. And then, of course, that she learns from her actions. I mean, in the episode Deadly Force itself, they make such a point of her just, taking off her shoulder holster and putting it on the coat rack. And then in later episodes, I mean, she's taking the weapon out of the holster and putting it in an actual lockbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then in another episode, she was also, putting it back or like taking it out of the lockbox. So continually reminding, like, this is what you should do. Like, we didn't forget it. Like, it's really nice.
What a true show should be: consistency.
Yeah.
That shows there's brains and detail really well thought out into it. That's when you know you have a good, well-written show.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's also why I liked Ben 10 up until, what is it, like, not Ultimate Alien, I don't know what it is now, but there's no continuity in it now. There's no consistency. It's just, here's one episode, Ben fights Monster A, next episode, Ben fights Monster B, and there's really no continuity between them. And it really is disappointing.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Sandra, have you ever been part of a fan clan or a Gargoyles role-playing game?
No, actually. I think it's because at the time I didn't even know that they had them.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I mentioned, I guess, before that, I didn't get until the fandom until later, when I was maybe the late high school and early college. So by that time, things kind of already happened.
Yeah.
And, but even then, I guess I always feel really awkward about doing like RPG stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're with like a close-knit group, otherwise it just feels kind of different.
Yeah.
What is your story as an artist?
Well, I guess I've been drawing since I can remember, and I don't think I ever really wanted to do anything else. So I don't think I really took it too seriously until I watched, like, Beauty and the Beast, and I was amazed, at the depth of emotion and story that could be told through, the medium of art and animation. At that point when I was watching it and I was crying, I was just like, they weren't just drawings. They were real characters to me, and they had dreams and ambitions and stuff like that. And I realized that the animators, they were acting through their drawings, and, the whole idea just blew my mind. And I knew then that I wanted to be able to tell stories through art. And, it's nice to know that, you don't have to do that just with animation, but, with comics or storyboarding or whatever it is that you're doing. So, wanted to always do it. Never had any other ambitions besides this.
Well, we're glad you became an artist because your work is absolutely amazing.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Thank you. I know you say that, but, as an artist, I'm always like, so many things wrong with those pictures.
I know, every artist says that.
We hear that a lot, yeah.
Never satisfied.
Always wanting perfection. It's just an illusion. It's a goal and always strive better, but you can never quite achieve it. But, it motivates you to want to just keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
Even though it already looks mind-blowing spectacular.
We asked Corrine this. Do you ever, go back to a drawing and you think, or even if somebody like highly, highly praises it, do you change your course of thinking after that, or do you still, in a way, see some of the flaws and strive to do, quote, better, unquote, in the next picture or the next drawing?
I think I'm always going to try to do better in the next drawing. Like, people can praise it, but, they don't. I guess, I hope this doesn't sound too haughty, but sometimes it's like, you don't have the artistic eye, or you don't see it. So, I appreciate that, they still see the good things in it and can still appreciate it, which is nice, sometimes to be reminded that, your work is good. But, at the same time, it's also nice to know that, it was good then, but I can do better now. So I still enjoy the compliments, but, at the same time, it's also like I'm embarrassed that, why are you looking at that?
I don't think that's,
stop it.
I don't think that sounds conceited at all. I honestly think that's like the motto of all artists. We'll have to ask Carole here because she's the only one out of the three of us who can draw. And I don't mean you, I mean Charles, Carole, and me.
Yeah, I know it has artistic validity. I tried. No.
I used to when I was much younger, but I basically was only good at stick figures. You need buildings and inanimate objects, but when it comes to living things, stick figures. I was that bad.
What do you think of the Gargoyles fandom overall?
Overall, I'm really overjoyed and happy that there is a fandom. When I first watched the show, I didn't even know that there were other people who watched and liked it like me. I thought I was so alone, and thank God for the internet now.
That was before the internet.
If only I had known you back then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I couldn't really talk to anybody about it, and every time I watched it, I wanted to, say so many things about what I saw, but none of my friends watched it. Yeah. But now I think it's awesome that there are so many loyal fans who keep this amazing fandom alive, and everyone is just really creative, like especially stories and fanfics that people write. It's so in depth, and it's always like really well fleshed out, more so than a lot of other fandoms that I've been a part of. It's really amazing.
Dinotopia cough. What? They're okay. They're good people.
Yeah, I don't know about you, like, a few of my friends would watch it, but they just weren't into it the way that I was. You could talk about, hey, did you catch that episode last night or something, but, I wanted to talk about the characters or the development, and they were just like, oh, it was cool. So I don't know about you. So, yeah, thank you, Internet, because that opened up a whole new realm, I think, for most of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and without the internet, there would be no Guardian.
That's true.
or Youkaiyume.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, always amazed about this fandom. Sometimes I go to conventions and I decide to sell my gargoyle prints there, and nearly everybody who ever walks by is just like, that's Gargoyles, I remember that show, and it always pleases me so much. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you remember this show, and like. And the fact that people pay to own like some part of that fandom still is like, I'm like, okay, it makes me feel good that there are people who still really, really like the show and want to capture that that part of their childhood.
Yeah.
When you saw that episode, Sandra, with the Halloween theme where Goliath and Elisa started dancing together, posing as Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And you were just mentioning how that movie inspired you into enjoying and doing animation. What do you thought about that? How it was paying homage to that franchise that got you into liking art?
When I was a kid, when I saw it, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's Beauty and the Beast.
This will make you even love the show even more because you love Beauty and the Beast, and here they are doing an imitation of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. At that point, I was just like, it's fate. It's meant to be. That's it.
Exactly.
It's like they thought about you when they did the cartoon at that time. A special treat for you.
Yeah, I ate up that episode like candy. It was so great.
I particularly enjoyed that episode too, because that I think that was the first one that introduced the whole idea of costumes within costumes.
Yeah.
So clever.
Yeah, which became a pretty much a running theme whenever Halloween rolled around in that continuity, in that universe.
And I guess it's the only time. It's the only time that we see.
Disney invented a new trend.
Yes.
Isn't it the only time that we see Elisa with another outfit, and most of all with the naked legs? I
think you're right, because when she was undercover as a lady of the night for Broad, she had boots on.
Were they?
Yeah, that's right. She was disguised as some
Sally. Yep.
Yeah, they named her Sally.
Yeah, they did.
Sally Richardson.
And then when she also had to do some undercover cover work with what's his name, Dracon.
Dracon. Yep, she wore leggings, or they were probably jeans because all of her jeans were very tight.
I remember when she removes her skirt. The thing that I remember is when she removes her skirt. She has this little piece of clothes on her thigh. It's a jarretière in French, and it's typical of the bride thing, And I was, she's wearing this? Woo! Well, that's my story.
It's a good story.
Well, Disney was heavily invested in Euro Disney. I mean, hell, some of the episodes was featuring in Paris quite a bit, and here in Demona too, having the love hang around in Paris.
Yeah.
Even pick up the name. Dominique Destines, how trying to come off very French-like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We talked about this earlier, Sandra, but have you ever attended any of the gatherings?
Well, another wink towards you, Coda, as well as for Sandra.
Have I ever attended any of the gatherings? Unfortunately, I didn't get to until, and by the time I discovered the fandom, I was already, in college. By that time, I realized that there was a con for Gargoyles. Like, it was the last year that was being held, so it was too late for me to save money. It was I couldn't really afford to go, and I was just devastated that I could never get the chance to go. It was like always a source.
It breaks my heart whenever somebody says that.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just like, if only I had known sooner, Yeah. And it was really heartbreaking at that point too, because it was also, in LA, I think at the time. Was it? I'm not sure.
It's
so close.
01, 06, and 09, all took place in the California area.
Yeah, it was just really close, and I was just like, I couldn't go. It was like more salt on the wound. It was like really, really terrible.
I feel your pain.
Carole, you're so cute.
It's just whenever, because even after 09, I work for Barnes & Noble as a cashier from time to time at my store. Mm-hmm. I would in the immediate aftermath of 09, I would talk to people like, yeah, I love that show. I go, oh, please tell me you got to go to a gathering, and they'd give me this blank face, and I'd almost start crying right there because I was only able to go to 3, but I mean the experiences I had there, like I would not trade this for the world. So to not be able to have somebody who cannot share that, it's like, oh God, you poor child, I'm so sorry.
Thanks.
Any scoop about a future Gargoyles drawing?
I don't do Gargoyles. It's really spontaneous. Like, I just, all of a sudden in the Gargoyles mood. So I don't really ever plan for them in advance. But, it's always fun to do my crossover Gargoyles with other things. You could just do all sorts of fun things with it. I always wanted to do one for Legend of Korra with Gargoyles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. When you say crossover, do you mean, so like you said, the Legend of Korra, would you turn the Legend of Korra characters into Gargoyles or input the Gargoyles characters that we know and love into the Legend of Korra universe? I'm just curious.
Good point.
I never really thought about the latter, but that would be so fun, right? To just have.
Oh yeah. I mean, when it comes to
Sandra, I definitely agree with you with your idea. For me, though, my Underground Warriors class is basically Gargoyles who are like the G.I. Joe of the Gargoyles universe.
Right, yeah, but still just interact with the regular Korra characters, and they're already in sort of like a city setting, so it'd be like, steampunk Gargoyles, and, brings into question, could they be benders too? That would be awesome.
I love your avatar.
If you decided to do, the whole Gargoyles characters in the universe, the whole idea of bending isn't that much of a far-fetch because magic is already such an integral part of the Gargoyles universe anyway.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Forgive me, I don't actually watch the Avatar or the Legend of Korra, so if it's not actually magic, forgive me. I didn't mean to offend anybody.
You definitely should.
Yeah.
I know. I saw one episode. I was getting ready for work, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I didn't have to go to work because then I can watch this.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't watch it as often as I should, but I know I definitely should.
Speaking of which, I think Avatar and Legend of Korra were like the first shows since Gargoyles out. I felt really excited about, watching every day. And there's like, next time on Legend of Korra, like they don't really have those nowadays, previously on. Yeah.
Right, because again, continuity doesn't seem to be that much of an importance to shows of today, except for things like cough, Young Justice, cough.
Yeah, right.
And even then they gave that show an axe.
The story and characters development. It's important in those. I was excited. It was the first time after Gargoyles I was excited about a cartoon myself, too. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah.
It was Avatar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ever since actually the 90s, there was quite a few good cartoons, but Gargoyles was one of a kind, and nothing comes close these days, in my opinion. Nothing. Especially to anything of the 1990s these days. Maybe the Avengers cartoon only because they can come close to like the X-Men due to the comic books, but then, even then, for some, like I said, anything good these days, they just give an axe because, it's not retarded enough. It doesn't belittle you and make you feel like, you need to be in diapers.
Yeah, I guess. I think it was
and
progressive.
they wonder why TV's not doing so well.
Yeah. But, in terms of, I guess, Gargoyles drawings in the future, I also wanted to go back and maybe do a Gargoyles eventually to match my Gargoyles. But, never got around to it.
Nice.
Awesome.
We hope you do, because we featured that on our first show.
Yeah.
That was awesome. We were talking right from the first episode how awesome your art was of all the female characters.
Well,
and every time when I would start looking up Gargoyles on DeviantArt, that's the first thing I would look at. It's just your art right there, and just stare at it for 5 minutes. Yeah, appreciate
it. They're not that good anymore. Please don't stare too long.
What was that?
I said they're not that good anymore. Please don't stare too long.
Actually,
by the way, is there any stories behind the crossovers, Avatar and Gargoyles, or the Gargoyles? I don't know how you had the idea to do them.
For the Gargoyles, I think maybe I was in class that day and I started sketching little tiny gargoyle sketches, and I think the first one I did was maybe Demona and then Elisa, and then I was just like, I want to do all of them. So I eventually scribbled them all over my notebook, and by the time I got home, it turned into a huge project. But,
you are awesome. You are so awesome.
Yeah, and then after that, when the comics started coming out and I got to see all these other new gargoyles, I really wanted to draw them too, so yeah.
Right.
Yay, for inspiration.
Yeah, so it gave me an excuse to, go ahead and do the rest of the girls. But, at the same time, my art had improved from the first set, so I always feel embarrassed whenever I go between set 2 and set 1, and I'm like, I want to go back and fix for set 1.
Sometimes I wonder, Sandra, after seeing that collection that you did, makes me wonder, because there's so many Gargoyle fans out there who are female. It must be, I wonder if maybe, I know this is a long shot, but in my opinion, I feel like maybe you played a role in influencing a lot of female fans that I want to be a Gargoyles fan because look how cool these characters are.
Oh, that's, thank you. That's very flattering. I don't know if I have that much of influence.
I mean, it's just in my original clan alone, so many female characters is wondering, where the hell the male ones are? I feel like my clan's becoming an army of Amazonian warriors.
Well, I also wanted to do them because I felt like, the girls don't get nearly enough love as, the guys do. And I feel like, they're such strong characters, especially for when it first came out. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you. I was going to say when we were looking at your Gargoyles, it just made me want more stories with some of the one-shot characters, or like Turquesa and Obsidiana. I always really liked those two, and I always really liked Sora. And then when you did the expansion with the comics, we were like, oh, look at these great characters that are being missed just because your artwork was out there featuring them, and you don't see too many with the comic characters, and it's just awesome that you were able to do that.
Thank you.
I think in general a lot of people like them because because people who want to draw Gargoyles fan art aren't really good with poses too. Doing stuff with the wings. And so after that came out, there were a lot of people who started, just tracing those drawings, but on just pure poses alone, which I guess I don't mind, as long as you give credit and be like, but at the same time, it's always nice to know that, people like the show and they like the characters and they want to be able to draw, but they don't know how. So I guess in that case, I'm glad that, at least it's good reference.
Yeah, they are
really, your poses are excellent for you done the characters.
Yeah.
For example, what you did for in Gargoyle Elisa, it makes it look like it's so natural for her just being Gargoyle. And that's what made me still a fan of Gargoyle Elisa. Everyone else just got tired of it. I'm still stuck on it. I blame you. That's why.
Is there a particular piece of art that you're the most proud of, Sandra? Is there just one that you always go back to and you always think this is it? This is the one that will never be topped. Yeah.
I don't think there's ever a picture like that. It doesn't exist.
Because then that would mean you'd be done.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. If I say that this is good enough, I'll never strive to do better. But that's true. But I guess the work that I am proud of, they really don't have anything to do with artistic skill. The one that I do like a lot that I did was the piece that I did with Goliath and Elisa on her balcony. The one I think I called it "If Only We Were" or something like that. Yeah. So I like that one quite a lot, but it was purely because I thought I captured really well the elusive emotion that was going through at that scene.
Stroking.
The little subtle things like hair stroking, and if you're a Gargoyles fan and you really know what that meant, then it would be an extra bonus. If you didn't, then it's still meaningful in some respect of that gesture alone looks like it speaks of longing, and I feel like in general, even if you knew nothing about the show, that the emotion, transferred to the audience. So, there's a lot of other things about this piece that are there's so many technical things wrong with it. I want to fix this and this, and I could render it so much better. But, if anything, the core feeling of a picture like this, I felt still reads really well. So I'd much rather my art pieces connect to the viewer on a personal level, and an emotional level, rather than be marveled for, simply being pretty. Because I feel like a lot of artwork, even though you feel like, oh, it was really beautiful, it doesn't stay with you as long, or it doesn't, you don't remember it as potent as you would if it connected to you emotionally. So that's what I like about a lot of other pieces in my gallery that I felt that share this quality. So there.
No, I agree with you, because we do, the pieces that we go back to are the ones that you're connected to. It's not the ones that, you look at it for a few minutes and it's pretty, like you said, but again, it gets cast out of your memory. You don't recall it as much as the one that really tugged at your heartstrings, or the one that brought up that emotion that you wanted to feel at the time.
Yeah, to this day, I think it's still one of my most popular Gargoyle pieces. But yeah, I guess the only other one that I'm proud of, and only because it was fun, was a Toy Story piece that I did. Toy Story about.
Let me put it. There's a little delay on the channel.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that one just because it was so much fun to do, and it was in a really fun style. So.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. That one's so.
Yeah, it was just a part of the height of my Toy Story madness. I was just drawing Toy Story fan art all day long, and it was just really fun. So.
All right.
Did you make the little aliens? Oh, you did make them flying monkeys. That is win.
Thank you.
I love those little guys. They're like the minions from Despicable Me. They just completely steal the show. Oh, fascinating. Just, I apologize. I'm seriously looking at this for the first time. Lovely juxtaposition. Lovely choices with the characters you chose for the juxtaposition of the Wizard of Oz. And if I'm using the term juxtaposition wrong, I apologize.
No. I think it's correct.
I think
okay.
Right.
Originally, I had Totoro as the Cowardly Lion, but then somebody pointed out, I was like, why didn't you put Rex? And I'm like, you're right. So I just went back and changed it really fast.
Yeah, I couldn't picture Rex being any other character than the Cowardly Lion. Oh, that is so
Certainly,
cute.
at least not before the end of the first movie.
Do you have any comments or any shout-outs to any of your followers?
Well, the only really huge, thing I can say is, practice. People ask me all the time, what's your secret? The secret is there is none. You just have to work hard. There's no, they would ask me, what's that? What filter did you use? Or, there's no magic Photoshop make better. Well, it would be nice if there was a make butter button.
I wish there was,
And no amount of buying fancy art supplies will make your art look better, if your skills aren't there, if you didn't develop them. And you can go to art school, but, art school only gives you the technical know-how and the tools you need to make good art. But, what you choose to do with it,
It comes with time.
It does.
It comes with time, yeah.
Yeah, you really can't rush it. You can't, it's just practice again, and you can argue that it's also talent, but, talent only makes up a portion of it. It can only take you so far, if you don't have the drive or the motivation to continually grow your skill, your talent's kind of wasted, so, even someone who might not be good at art, and if they practice continually can, surpass you. So, what's the point of having talent if you don't really, apply yourself? And, I guess, throughout this whole interview, I'm always like, art's not that great, but, but it's a good reason, remember your work to you should, never be good enough. Mm-hmm. Because the moment you think it is the moment you stop, trying to do better.
Yeah,
exactly.
And, of course, thank you to anyone who likes and looks at my art. I'm still really honored to be here and to be invited to talk. And, you guys really make it possible for me to keep on doing what I do. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. We love having you here. This is amazing. So.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Oh, this art.
We want to bring back all the fans, new and old, big and small, really. We want, like I said, this whole thing is to carry on where the convention left off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gargoyles deserves it. It is just that damn good. You can't just let it go like that.
Yeah. I never realized.
But still wanting to keep it going. And so for us who actually do love it, it's up to us to help them carry it on.
Right. I never realized it, but, Gargoyles also has a really huge influence on, writing style, too. I mean, mm-hmm. I know for sure, because I do this comic on my website also for another fandom, and, the way I write it, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm so glad you don't rush it. But if anything, I remember it was, something that Greg Weisman once said, that, your audience doesn't know what they want. You take your time, tell your story, and, never give in to their demands of, oh, I want this and this to happen, because honestly, they don't know what they want. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, I didn't realize how much, the show itself influenced me beyond just Gargoyles. It was really amazing.
Mm-hmm. I need to keep a note on that. Originally, that's how my fanfiction started out, as almost like a sandbox, but I'm being told that, some of the fans are really asking for ridiculous things sometimes, and I've recently started to draw a line in the sand, saying I still like to have some kind of story that I like to tell and not just be haphazard. So thank you for that message there. Yeah. But that was originally that my fanfiction was meant to be in a way to act as what this show is doing now, because I started off the group before we invented Reawakening. And my aim was to try to bring back the fans, at least through what I was wanting to do for myself was create my own story. So I tried to do was try to, make it more sandbox-ish, but then some crazy people wanting to start just going all over the place. So thank you really for that piece of advice. It makes you feel better now.
Oh no!
I need to respect that, and thank God for reawakening too. So that gives me relief. And now I can start writing my own story.
No, really, you should really.
Some of the damage has already been done.
Yeah, you really should not worry about what your fans think. It's nice to listen to their feedback and their input, but honestly. In regards to my comic, there's a lot of times where, because it's a pairing sort of comic, so it's really romanticized, but a lot of people, because they want to speed things up, will be like, oh, you should do this with it, or you should do that with it. But honestly, I get way more fans who come up to me and are like, thank you for not, listening to what we want you to do. Thank you for, making, because honestly, the best part of a story is drawn out tension, what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
So, and only you will know where that's going to happen. And sometimes the characters write themselves, they'll tell you where things are going.
Where they want it to go. Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I loved about Gargoyles too. Greg Weisman never really cared about, what other people thought of it. He thought, even when Disney was trying to make him to conform to things, he still did it in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, the Goliath and Elisa relationship was a really this huge test on our patience. But how great is it that as a result you get this really natural relationship that grows out that is realistic and
mm-hmm.
and when it finally happens, it's so satisfying. So
yeah. Yep, and
not only that, with the ending of the actual show, but then when they come back to it in the SLG run of the comics, even then it's so much more satisfying.
Right, because in the comic, they even though they acknowledge it, they still weren't together and what? Not yet, still.
I know
Right.
they broke up, and then it took a while for them to get back together.
Mm-hmm.
You're such a tease, Weissman.
Yeah, he likes to play with our heart.
He does.
I thought she was playing with his heart.
Seriously, all those just soap operas just make you feel like, he knows how to do soap opera and do it right.
But I'm glad he brings up those types of questions that, it's not just going to be perfect in the end. There's still all these issues that we haven't addressed yet, the fact that Elise is still a relatively young woman. She could probably have the life that she always wanted, and what about Goliath, perpetuating the species? There's a lot of these questions that, I'm glad they address. You don't just sweep it under the rug and it's all, daffodils and rainbows.
Do you have any suggestions for our podcast?
You guys are doing great.
Thanks.
All of these suggestions that I thought was, I could have come up with, you guys are already doing, so I don't really, I think this is a long shot, but, eventually if there could be some possible way, we have people who actually worked on the show come by and, give their insight. That would be really awesome, but,
Oh, we'd love to, yeah.
That is our ultimate goal.
So already on your list. I don't have to do anything.
But it's a great suggestion because, that lets us know what people want,
Right.
So perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And I hope I haven't been too scary or too annoying either. I've been
Wait,
told,
isn't that
like
my
I said, I tend to be like the fly in the ointment, even though I don't mean to. I just tend to trip over my own feet.
Oh, Charles.
I don't think you're a fly in an ointment.
No. Sandra, do you have any questions for us?
Not really. You guys kind of already answered my questions as we were talking. So, yeah, I guess, I asked you these before, but, what are your favorite characters and, how long have you been in this fandom? But you've already answered that too, since the beginning. So it's not really a moot question.
But yeah, since the beginning. So, and Brooklyn fangirl. So is Charles.
Even though I really love, as cool as Brooklyn is, it's just not the same without the trio. And then it's not the same without the clan. They all just work so dynamically well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what I liked about the trio too is like even though they were meant to just be comic relief at first, they're all in-depth characters. Like
yeah, they fell into their own characters, and I didn't like how they went their separate ways, but to me that was a bit more natural when they started showing different interests, and they weren't necessarily that tight-knit group.
Right.
Yeah. But it made me sad when the trio kind of stopped being the trio as much.
Isn't that, just natural of life too? Like
It is.
They grow up.
Brooklyn kind of being gone for 40 years, kind of thing.
Well, for them it was only 2 minutes.
May have been 2 minutes for them. For me, it was 40 years.
That's true. Oh, I do think, though, that a part of it was also because Angela arrived,
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to mean it, but I want the episode feel like, no, she's breaking up the
she's like the Yoko
trio.
Ono of the Gargoyles.
I mean, no, it's nice to have a female character introduced, and I felt like it playing upon that old, the girls are going to go and ruin everything, boys club sort of thing. But it was nice to have the female, to add on to the clan too. It feels more diverse. It's just demoted out there who's just, pure evil. It's like women's evil, blah. Like, no. Like, oh, here's Angela. Like, what a sweetheart. And then, the boys are fighting over, and it seems like they're going to split up. And eventually, they started to grow up more where they wanted to go their own thing. But what made the trio, that, like I said, I love as much as Brooklyn, but the trio together, they just beautiful dynamic. They just weren't, like you said, comic relief side character. They were
the comic relief
one whole entity. They all worked together, fleshed each other out.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they don't get along 100% of the time either. They're always competing against each other. And I also thought when Angela came in, it was really nice to know then that, she wasn't. I'm glad that she went with Broadway, actually.
I was, too.
Because I know everybody really likes, pairing her up with Brooklyn, but,
Yes, ultimately, at first, I agree with you. It seemed like, Brooklyn definitely would look like unlikely to deserve her. But in the end, when you think about it, then what would Broadway would be fitting for him? And then it just seems, that would work out, and that him and Angela.
Well, I think Greg Wiseman also mentioned when he first made that pairing that Broadway was really the first person to treat her as like a person and not as just as just a pretty girl.
He was like the pretty girl who showed up. Yeah.
Yeah, right. He was just like he was the first to offer her chocolates, and he was the first to he really treated her with like a sense of respect in terms of, she's intelligent and, she's not just not.
I've heard, I've read about that, and it makes me feel like, wow, that starts to make it sound like, and then Brooklyn was just a jerk. And I don't think he was. He gave me experience, yes, but no, he's not a douche.
But Broadway was the first one who was actually sweet to her. The other two, true. Even Lexington a little bit, it was more like, hey, I can win this prize. And Broadway looked at it as, there's this new person, we should get to know her.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn, I think the other guys, they really felt like, she's a pretty new girl, we really want to, for lack of a better term, get in her pants.
Yes.
But
the jock.
Well, Brooklyn himself, he's always susceptible to the ladies. He's really easy. He falls really easily for them, on a very surface level. Yeah. So, it's nice that when he finally found, Katana, that 40 years is a good reason to, know somebody. And then Lexington, I think I think more than anything, he only was after Angela because the other two were after Angela.
I think so too. I think he was still in that stage of doubt. He was in self-denial.
Well, not only that, but he's also, competitive with his brothers. So even if he didn't know, if he was in that area of self-doubt. I think more than anything, he was just like, I have to win if I'm in this competition. So, you know, I think it was just the end thing to do.
Well, Sandra, it has been absolutely wonderful having you with us. I really hope that sometime in the future maybe you'll join us again and we can chat some more and maybe do another session like this, because this has been fantastic.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, just anytime. It's been fun. You guys are all awesome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Have a good one,
very,
Sandra.
very
Good to
much.
meet you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much for having me here, and I can't wait to hear the rest of this podcast.
Yay!
Hey, look me up if you're ever in the valley again.
Before you go, could you link
sure.
us the page on DeviantArt of the female gargoyle art that I so absolutely love? It disappeared from the Gargoyles search engine. I've been struggling to find it for a while now, and I'm just dying to get back to look at it again. But we're getting to talk to you now, and other than enjoying the conversation, we really wanted to ask if I could do and get that link from you and get to see it once more in all its splendor.
Sure. Let me browse through my gallery.
Also, I think we have it linked in our
Yeah. I think your first podcast had
Nice
Yeah.
one, by the way. Yoko
Yeah.
Ono of Gargoyles. Thank you.
Well, that was
I'm
Carole.
reading that.
That was Carole. Actually, she said that. It was funny. I don't know if you caught her saying that.
Yeah, she was trying to break up the tree. Ah!
There's one.
Yeah, I still love Angela. Nonetheless.
Right, yeah.
She actually had to grow on me. When she first arrived on the show, I thought she was so Pollyanna. And
I agree.
Pollyanna?
yeah, Pollyanna, just so, everything's wonderful, and look, I'm here with Goliath, and, she just kind of drove me crazy. And then, the more you get to know this character, the more you realize there is so much to her. She has that longing for her parentage, and she has, this fiery temper that sometimes you don't always see because you do expect her to be the sweet girl.
Don't forget, she is the daughter of Demona. Of course, a little bit of that temper is going to...
Well, and she was also second in command on Avalon. I don't know if people knew this, but she was... Yeah, she
Once
was...
again, it reflects, a little bit of Demona's persona.
Yep, to Gabriel. She was Gabriel's second. So, I mean, there's all these different facets to her. But yeah, when she first came on the show, I was like, ugh, gross.
Cool. Oh, I gave you.
You almost sound a little catty there, Lisa.
Well, that was teenage me.
Okay, so Charles, I gave you the link on the Skype.
Thank you
chat.
so
problem.
much.
And yeah,
oh,
thanks.
man,
thanks
it's
again
eye
for-
candy all over again.
That's a drooling commence.
And yeah, thank you again so much for having me. This has been a really fun experience, and this is like the most I've ever talked about, the show to anybody else. Because again, not really anybody else really, shared this passion as much as I do. So it's
Right.
It's really nice.
Only
Right.
I knew you back then.
If only.
No, this has been amazing. If you ever want to geek out and talk about it in depth, you know where to find all of us. So
Oh yeah.
we will be happy to do it.
Yay.
And if you could, too, spread the word as far and wide you can about us. We like you said, we wanted to get everybody back together.
Oh, definitely. Retweet and
Get more
I'll cover
people
you
even-
guys and DA you guys. No problem.
Yay!
Try to get everybody on board, even those who never did get to make it into the in gathering. This is their chance. If they couldn't be able to go there physically, now they can gain access to it online.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, thank you guys for, starting this up. It's really amazing.
Oh, you're very welcome, and
pleasure.
thank you. Yeah, it really is.
A labor of love. Definitely a labor of love.
Just them three, because I, like I said, I was a last minute addition, but I'm awesome, and I'm happy about it.
A very welcome newest addition at that.
All right, so I guess I'll take my leave of you guys now, and keep doing what you guys are doing. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Keep
you.
doing
And
what
you
you're
as well,
doing
Sandra.
too.
You
All right,
too. Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to our podcast. We hope you will join us again at the DeviantArt page or the Facebook group Gargoyles Reawakening. You can also contact any one of us on Facebook or DeviantArt. We'd be more than happy to hear from you. If you have any questions, again, just talk to us. We love talking to you guys. So yeah, thanks for listening. Hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye.